Well, throughout U.S. schools, there is a color to discipline because disproportionately it is children of color who receive the most discipline, the most punitive forms of discipline, specifically African American and Latino children, and males particularly. And typically they are punished by being excluded from schools through suspension. Well, I think in most cases, educators are not intentionally trying to hurt children. I think that in many cases, there's a genuine desire to remove children that are disruptive to the learning environment from the classroom so that other children can learn. So I want to acknowledge that. Although I do think that there are cases where there's overt racial bias, I don't think this is the majority of cases. However, in many cases, what we end up doing is punishing kids because of disadvantages those children experience. That is, children who are not learning are often acting out. Children who are neglected at home, or children who are simply restless will often be excluded or subject to very severe punishment. And so what we've got to be aware of is that the children with the greatest needs are often the children who get the most punishment. And what we need to do is focus on responding to the needs. That is, addressing the underlying causes of the discipline problem. If a child is acting out because they can't read, then we need to make sure they're getting the attention they need to learn to read. If a child is acting out because they're neglected or abused at home, then we need to address the source of the problem at the home. Simply putting a child out of the classroom is not effective. And the reason why we know it's not effective is because in most schools, we end up punishing the same children over and over again, and there's no change in behavior. And so I always try to remind educators that the goal of discipline is not to punish children, but to change behavior. And ultimately, if we do it right, it is to help kids become self-disciplined.